Hello, hello, beautiful humans. My name is Davida Sign. I am a naturopath specializing in gut and thyroid health. And today I want to talk about a really important aspect when it comes to keeping our bodies in tip-top condition or assisting them in the process of returning to optimal functioning wherever those symptoms are expressing. So if the symptoms are expressing through a lot of gut issues or hormonal issues or a constellation and a kind of combination of all of these different symptoms, whatever is happening that's going on, one of the key components that we need to focus on is going to be our lymphatic system and lymphatic health. Okay, now I'll give a little backstory on how I discovered this. In my own healing journey, I started to become aware that I was a more sensitive human than most regular humans, you know, whether it be like fragrances or cleaning products or different chemicals. And when I was trying to heal myself and by any means necessary, because, you know, my hormones were basically in the toilet, my thyroid function was just continuing to decline to the point that I was like barely functional. So I was extremely motivated to explore every crevice and corner of natural health, and I had done the whole allopathic things. Doctors basically told me there was nothing that could be done except for take the thyroid medication basically for the rest of my life. And since I'd been on that medication since I was a teenager, I was like, there has to be something that I'm doing, right? And that's how I discovered the element of toxic exposures and how essentially these days we are living in a society that is just rife with all of these modern toxins. We've never had to deal with them. A lot of them are a byproduct of the Industrial Revolution. Now, the reason this is interesting is because bringing the body back into a state of alignment and health, usually there's just a huge component of that will be around helping it to detox. And there isn't one right way to do that. It kind of depends what's going on and what your tolerance is, in which, you know, methods you're resonating with. Like, there's a lot of ways to kind of climb that mountain, you know? But all in all, what I want you to really understand about this is that getting the toxins out is the important part. And you might have heard the expression, like, you can't detox if you're not draining. So that's where this key piece around lymphatic health comes in. And we have to start to understand that a lot of the times, just because, like, to no fault of our own, we haven't been educated about this, we haven't learned how to make sure that our body is draining, our lymphatic drainage is optimized. The toxins are kind of like stuck. They have nowhere to go. So they're either hiding in our fat cells or they're kind of just recirculating, but they're not getting out. Now, I love to talk about how they get out. It's like 3 P's, you know, pee, poop, perspiration. So these are kind of the first areas that we look at. You want to make sure that you are urinating, that you are going to the bathroom daily, number 2, taking a poop, and that you're ideally sweating like pretty vigorously daily. And I would say that it's pretty important because a lot of toxins exit through our sweat. And our lymphatic system is actually pumped via us moving. So that's how important and like how kind of movement fits into this piece. And you want to make sure, like, if you're sweating, you're actually kind of like toweling that off or ideally rinsing it off, because you don't want those toxins, those heavy metals, those things that are coming out to go back in. Wow, the sun just got like super bright. It's really beautiful part of the afternoon. Anyway, I digress. So what I want to do today is I want to talk about some of the best strategies that I've found to basically stimulate the lymphatic system manually on a daily basis consistently, and to impress upon you the importance of actually taking the time to integrate these very short but very potent practices into your daily life as a part of kind of like lymph maintenance, you know? So the same way that you brush your teeth every day, you like twice a day, and if you didn't, that would be kind of gross, right? If you didn't shower every day, or, you know, pretty frequently, however often you shower, if that's every day or whatever, like these things have to be practiced regularly to have a good impact, and not, you know, just doing them once doesn't like kind of check that box. It's about the consistency and the repetition where you get the benefits of the practice. Anyway, in my own life, I noticed, like I said, back at the beginning of my journey, that toxins were playing a role. So there was an aspect where I was like, okay, I've got to start swapping out the products that I'm using every day, and paying attention to like where I might be having like micro exposures of toxins. But over the course of all these different, you know, ways that I'm getting toxins in me, it's actually not a micro exposure anymore. There's a cumulative burden that can actually end up being quite high. So that is a really key element that you need to be paying attention to, is like, where can you start to make swaps so that you're lowering the influx of toxins. That's number one. And then two, we're doing these practices to assist the body back into balance so that it can actually do the work of clearing toxins on its own, which it's designed to do. It's amazing. We have this whole channel of lymph, right? We have so much more lymphatic fluid than we even do blood in the body. I like to think about the blood as kind of like the kitchen. It's where all the nutrients are being shuffled and ferried to all of our cells. And then you have the lymph, which is kind of like the bathroom. So that's like where all the waste products are moving through the body. You have all these little nodes that are essentially cleaning the fluid, and then that fluid gets dumped back into circulation and it gets cleared through our organs of elimination. So the kidneys, the bowels, the skin, and the lungs. Isn't that amazing? So just by exhaling, we are clearing toxins. And actually we even breathe out fat. Like when you are losing body fat because you're, you know, in a calorie deficit, or you're exercising and you're burning and you're revving up your metabolism, some of that fat is exhaled through our breath. So yeah, the lungs are a really potent channel of elimination. Oh my God, I swear, it's like so refreshing. Okay, anyway, I want to talk about one thing that has become such an important staple in my routine. And if you've dealt with any kind of like hormone challenges, you know that like the puffiness that can come along with that is something that can really impact your energy level. It can make you feel really heavy and tired. It also doesn't feel great and it doesn't look great, you know, like waking up in the morning and having the puffiness around your eyes, feeling like you have sausage hands. That's all correlated with stagnant lymph, you know? So a couple things here that I really tend to focus on when it comes to our lymphatic health is, one, the lymphatic system, like the fluid is a fluid, right? So to assist it in moving correctly and optimally, we want to make sure that our body is adequately hydrated. Okay, that's first step. Hydration is a key pillar. You want to make sure that you are drinking enough and that you're getting water that is pure. Like I said, it's, you know, not advisable to drink tap water because you don't want to be retoxifying the body while you're trying to hydrate. Then you want to be adding minerals to your water. I actually have a whole lecture where I just go into, you know, what to do with water and hydration, and like why that's like a little bit more complex these days. Ironically, light, like something you'd never think of, can be really hydrating. The light that I'm getting onto my skin at this time of day, there's plenty of red and infrared light because it's like the early evening here in Florida, which means there's not really UVB. So I'm not making vitamin D in my skin right now. There's very little risk of me getting a sunburn. But this light that I'm getting right now is a combo of probably, I'd have to check it, but probably a little bit of UVA still, which is amazing. And then also a lot of red and near infrared light. And those frequency bands of light specifically hydrate and expand the exclusion zone. So they structure the water in our cells, which is really important for helping with blood flow. Isn't that amazing? You know, that you can increase your blood flow. You can actually lower your blood pressure by spending time and getting your skin into the sun. Now, When we get up in the morning, right, we've been lying horizontal all night, we haven't moved, the fluid is going to be stagnant and we're gonna be a little bit dehydrated. So the first thing that I like to do is I get obviously some light into my eyes. That's always the first thing that I recommend that anyone do in their morning, is like just set that circadian clock, get outside, get light into the eyes like I'm doing right now. Okay, from there I get into the bathroom, and after I've peed, I will get into my dry brushing routine. So basically I am activating my lymph first thing in the morning. And this is something that like gets all the fluid flowing for the day. It's something that ideally you would want to practice, like moving your lymph is something you'd want to practice multiple times per day. And you're gonna start to notice the difference when you commit to doing this practice consistently, because when you move that fluid manually, the toxins that have been stored start to move and flow and clear naturally as you're just going about your day. And these practices aren't super involved or super difficult. They just require attention and consistency. So what I do is I open up my lymphatic channels using my hands, okay? There's a couple of different points on the body. The termini are right here at the collarbones, and this is where all the fluid drains back into circulation and then gets excreted again through our kidneys and our bowels and like the detoxification organs. So to open up the flow of the lymph, everything starts at the collarbones. You're gonna use your finger pads. You can rub in circles. You can tap. You can really just do anything. You can pump. A lot of people like to pump on the nodes, you know, kind of like a little bit of self-massage, but this is really key. And the interesting part about this is that you can actually do this before any type of movement, and you're gonna get more lymphatic drainage benefits out of that movement, whether that's walking, whether that's yoga. Obviously any kind of bouncing motion is really, really good for our lymphatic system, which is why you can see behind me I got my rebounder. I'll show you guys. There it is, my outdoor rebounder. Maybe I'll hop on that at the end of the video and show you guys. Okay, I'm gonna put my glasses on so I can see the camera from far away, and I'm gonna give you a little demo. All right, let's get up. Okay, so we start at the collarbones, and you want to just like stimulate that area, really open things up. As you start to do this, you're going to feel the body start to sweat a little bit. That's good. That means you're starting to stimulate stuff. From there, I move up to like the top of the neck. There's so many different lymph nodes in the neck, but essentially you can even like pull down on the ears and stuff, and you want to start to clear the fluid that is in the head and in the brain. We call this lymphatic drainage. So you can see I'm kind of like pumping these nodes. You can work down the neck a little bit. And this whole routine really just takes a couple of minutes. So 10 to 20 pumps per area. From there, I'm gonna move into my underarms. Again, this is an area where there's a lot of different lymph nodes all over here. So you can do one at a time. You can have your arm down when you do it, but I'll just keep it up so you can see that I'm just kind of like pumping and releasing, pumping and releasing. And you can work near the breast tissue, like right where the top of the bra strap hits. That's a great area to pump. This whole area, you want to really make sure that the fluid is not getting congested and that things are flowing, and you do both sides. Then we move to the sternochyli, which is about a little bit above the belly button. So right here, 2 fingers on top of, like 3 fingers on top of 3 fingers, and you pump. And you just nose breathe as you're doing this. So again, 10 to 20 pumps. We've got 2 more spots to go in this kind of lymph node activation. This is the Big 6 from Perry Nicholson. You can look it up if you want to see. And I have a really great article on my website where I drew a whole diagram of these 6 points so that you can reference them back when you're doing this practice at home. So the next area where the fluid tends to pool is at the hip crease, okay? So this area, like above the crease and also at the top of the thigh, so below the crease, you wanna be kind of pumping and releasing. There's no like right or wrong way to do this. You just kind of manipulate and press on the nodes and wake up the area to get that fluid flowing, you know? Sometimes I like to kind of bang on the area like this with my fists. I find this really helpful. Yeah. Just give it a bing bang bong. And then finally, we're gonna go behind the knees. So where the joints bend is often where fluid gets congested. So you're doing 10 to 20 pumps behind each knee. Okay, so that's gonna be the step one of this practice. You open up those specific channels to get the fluid flowing. From there, I'm gonna go in with a tool like this. So this is a dry brush. It's really important that you start always on the left side because almost the whole body drains on the left side. So left arm, the torso, both of the legs, all drains on the left side. The right side is just the head and the right arm. So we're gonna start on the left and we're gonna start as close as possible to our termini, okay? So this is where the fluid is draining. If you try to brush from extremities up, everything is gonna be backed up. You wanna start as close as possible and start moving that fluid, and then as you move away, you're gonna move out towards your extremities and then back. So it looks a little something like this. We're doing short strokes. And again, it's like about 10 to 20 strokes per kind of area. So I'm doing the area that's closest to that draining point, and then I'm gonna slowly move down my arm away from the drainage point. Okay, you can see my skin is like turning I'm not going as hard as I would in the morning. I really like it. I'm kind of used to it. You might start with like a lighter dry brush, but as you get used to this practice, it starts to feel just so good to have a little bit more of an abrasive one. So I'm gonna do my whole arm basically, and then I'm coming all the way back up. You get the picture, right? Makes sense. As you can see, it's a little bit red. And you're basically gonna do your whole body like that. So I start with my left arm, I then do my right arm, then I'm gonna do my torso. So I'll start here and I'll go down. I'll do the breasts and the whole chest area. I actually have a little brush, a little handle that attaches to this so I can do my back with it. But I'm gonna do, you know, the whole torso, the whole back of the torso. I'm gonna do the hip crease, gonna do the booty, and then we go to the legs. So I get my leg up usually on the edge of my bathtub in my bathroom, and then I'll do left leg first. Again, short but firm strokes all the way through the body, all the way around. And you start to travel down the leg, down the leg, down the leg, all the way to the foot. Don't forget the bottom of the foot. And then you're gonna work your way back up, you know? So you end up working your way all the way back up to the tops of the legs. If you want, you can kind of do the torso again and like really cover the whole body all the way down, all the way back up. And then I do like to, I'll sit down to show you guys. So I do like to do a little routine and ritual on the face. I have two tools that I use for the face, okay? Because nobody likes a puffy face, you know? And I definitely am a person who's always like long history of gut and thyroid issues. Like they're so much better now, but it's definitely the most puffiness that I experience in the day is always going to be in the morning, and I always notice it in my face. So First of all, we got a little like mini baby dry brush, right? So this is one for the face. It's a lot softer than the body one. Now, the nice thing about this dry brush too is like it exfoliates the skin really, really nicely. So you're sloughing off so much dead skin cells. It's really awesome to do it. Like I have light that comes in through my bathroom window in the morning, and as the light like streams into my bathroom when I'm dry brushing my body, I can literally see all of the dead skin cells that are coming off the dry brush, and it's like there's so much, you know, and I do this every single day, you guys. So I hope you understand that our bodies completely regenerate. Like your body in a few months from now is not the same body that you have today. So really think about that in the context of your capacity to heal. Like your body self-regenerates, you know, there's no reason why you need to keep recycling your experience and having the same expression of what we call disease, you know? It's like a blessing every time I drink water, I swear. Okay, so I got a gua sha here, and I've got my facial dry brush. The facial dry brush, you know, so nice. We can do the same kind of thing where we work up and then afterwards we work down. I love demoing. This is really fun. I've never done this before. I've only done it for myself in the bathroom mirror. Anyway, this is not super abrasive. It's like pretty gentle. So little mini exfoliation of the face, little dry brushing of the face, little clearing of that lymph. Amazing. So amazing to assist our body in what it already wants to do, but it just never has experienced this amount of toxic load. This is new. This is unprecedented, and it needs a little bit of support. That's not dysfunction. That is adaptation, right? Our bodies are responding to the environments that they are in. And this is a pretty hella toxic, also pretty amazing, also pretty incredible, technologically advanced, but like nonetheless somewhat toxic environment, you know? So we give it a little bit of help and then it can do its thing. I do love the gua sha. The gua sha makes the face very red, but it does get a lot of, like, I'll show you guys. You can see it gets a lot of blood flow going. I like trying to show you. I really get things moving with the gua sha in the morning, and then I look like a little bit of a tomato because that's my face. When I exercise, when I gua sha, you know, I'll do the forehead and then everything will be extremely red and attractive, you know, and you do the neck. There's like 700 lymph nodes just in the neck here, okay? So like really help. Your body needs help. Your brain needs help draining this fluid. I drink a nice big glass of water. I usually leave my glass of water in the bathroom ready for myself in like, you know, the night before, so that when I get up in the morning, I can get out and I can just do my routine, hydrate, and then work on the lymph. Okay, so look at that. Look how red you can see one side versus the other. Now, this is a very stimulating and very energizing practice, okay? Which is great, because if you have any kind of issues with like low energy in the morning, this is just gonna wake you right up, okay? Now from here, you'll feel that like the sweat has started to activate, your energy is enlivening, and like the dry brush in particular, this one I actually got at Whole Foods. It's Yerba Prima, and it comes with like a long detachable handle. This is one of my favorite dry brushes. It's like, I think it's like 18 bucks. And you can buy it next time you go grocery shopping. Anyway, it's like a little bit more abrasive, but there are softer ones. I do encourage you to go to the grocery store and just like pick up a couple and kind of feel them, and maybe like feel them on your skin, so that you can start to see what you like. You know, I didn't start with this. I started with a softer one as I familiarized myself with the practice, and then as I got more comfortable, then you just start to crave it, you'll see. And it's because this helps the fluid to flow more. Okay, so typically this is something that I do in the morning. I find this practice to be way too energizing to do before bed, and that has been the feedback that I've received also from a lot of my clients, that it's just like a bit much before bed. So that is the whole rigmarole with dry brushing. From there, in my morning, that is when I will essentially, right after my dry brushing, I'll just hop into a cold shower and do a cold rinse. It's like cold rinse in the morning for me is extremely invigorating. It just like really feels, it's not always an amazing feeling, but you feel amazing after. Like, it really helps to give you a good pump of dopamine. It wakes you up. It's refreshing. I mean, I'll do a whole other video on the benefits of cold for our metabolism. Like, there's endless benefits. It doesn't have to be that cold. It just has to be like slightly uncomfortably cold to start, and you'll build again. Same like with the brush, right? It doesn't have to be the roughest brush ever. Start somewhere and then continue to build that practice. And then the last step of this whole morning sequence for me is then going to be to get on the rebounder. So maybe I'll do a little demo for you guys on the rebounder just to round out this whole video. Okay. So, yeah, beautiful. Oh, let me move this chair so it's not in the way. There we go. Okay, and we'll center the camera just to like all the videography. Okay, so this is my outdoor little mini rebounder. My indoor one is where I usually do this, and it has a stability bar, which I like. But for health bouncing, you really need like 5 minutes of bouncing in the morning, and this can be so gentle. Your feet actually never need to leave the mat. So you can just literally pump the body like this, and you're just getting a full body pump. You're pumping the body. You can do a bunch of stretches here to kind of wake up the body. So you can stretch the neck, and you're just bouncing like baby bouncing. You can do the other side. Really just gentle bouncing like this. If you don't have a rebounder, you can bounce on the ground, right? Like, you can bounce, you can do little heel raise, you can shake. This bouncing action is going to be the thing that stimulates the lymph. It's all the bouncing, right? So I like this because this is very low impact, and we have a resistance mat. So we're putting our body, our muscles against resistance. So we also get kind of a concentrated form of exercise that helps to stimulate our lymph, stimulate our cardiovascular system, actually work our muscles to a very large capacity without really feeling like that's happening, you know? Like, you can flex your muscles while you're on the rebounder, and you start to build and develop muscles because you're putting them against this resistance of this elevated resistance mat. And you're getting a full body lymphatic pump, right? So 1 minute to 5 minutes in the morning to activate your lymphatic system. I basically am hopping on and off of my rebounder all day. I have one outdoors, I have another one indoors. This is just a part of my routine, you know? And if you've been sitting for a while, you can get up. That fluid, again, is gonna pool at the hip creases. So that is the perfect way to get your body to have more flow. This is something that I hope you're starting to understand, that this is something that has to actually be built intentionally into the way that you move through your day. It doesn't have to take a long time or be super intensive. Like today I took quite a long time to show you that sequence. But the reason that I took such a long time is because I wanted you to understand the really specific mechanics of how you're going to go and execute that. When I am doing that practice myself in the morning, The whole practice itself takes maybe about 10 minutes, and then a quick 2-minute shower in the cold water, and then a 5-minute sequence on the rebounder. So this whole entire ritual itself is like under 20 minutes. Anyway, I hope that this has been amazing and inspiring. I would love to hear your thoughts if you try this practice. I'd love to hear how it impacts you. And yeah, like and subscribe for more content. I'm going to be making an effort to share more educational and inspirational content like this, of these practices that I really think are the foundation of our healthy bodies and healthy lives.